So I'm a student assistance counselor, and basically what a student assistance counselor does is that we have 10 guidance counselors, right? So there are school counselors. They're also equipped to talk to students about mental health. I'm just kind of like the branch of the tree, of so to speak. So if there's something more specific that a student wants to talk about, or they need referrals for outside counseling, or they want to talk about some family issues, and maybe they don't want to utilize their guidance counselor for certain reasons, then that would be, sometimes with students seeking out to talk about. The mental health specifically is the counseling part of the referral. So, how can I link them up with outside resources? Okay. And my job over the years, because I've worked here for many, many years, since 2001, has been to network with the community resources out there, so that when, I can say, like, yeah, I have students who have gone to this counselor and it has been successful. And so that's how I kind of like build a data bank around that. The community, so to speak, like the Camden County Services, I'm on many committees with the county, so I'm able to view and actually go visit some of the programs to see, is it something that our students would thrive at. So, it's not just actually schoolwork, but it's also like making sure that I network within the community to help our community needs. And then, there's so many student assistance counselors in each middle school and each high school. So I feel like we all do the same thing. And so we are networking as a team too, as student assistance counselors, so that we can kind of disseminate the information to all of our schools. And then we are liaisons down to the elementary schools. So there's 6 of us, there's 6 student assistance counselors, and we have so many certain elementary schools that are assigned to us. And then we'll help the guidance counselor down there if they need us. And we'll, give them information, turnkey information to them too, for programs for the elementary students. So it's kind of like a branch of networks, not just within the school district, but also in the community, in the county. And then there's some state committees that I'm on. So excuse me, kind of have to keep in the know to know like what's going on with mental health. There's been some severe budget cuts in some of our resources that we have used in the past, and that's now our turn to like advocate for getting those resources back into the budget. So we also do some type of liaisoning to our powers to be within the government. So councilmen, governors, mayors, you keep those lines of communication open so that they understand when you cut a budget, like what does that actually do for your school district, for your school? Because they're just looking at a global picture. And so sometimes we have to advocate for getting those services back. And then, what I'm really here for too is just to support and make sure that our community is safe. So, students reach out in many different ways, whether like Mr. Z was saying, like a friend of a friend, or can I get some information for a friend, or they bring a friend, or family will call me, the councils will bring down somebody, the administrators will bring down somebody. This holiday, the student advocate, her and I work very closely in helping students. She's focused on bridging the families to the school and also academics, and I'm more on the mental health and counseling side. So it's a nice teamwork that we have going on. And this would be the same for West and at the 3 middle schools, and we help the elementary schools too. So it's not just like certain duties. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and for me, thank you, Mrs. DiStefano. It's the best thing is we're a team here. in my role, yes, I'm supervisor with guidance, special education, grade level. I have a lot of hats here, but the number one thing for the guidance, again, in the counseling department, the guidance department, is to make sure they have the resources to be able to do what they need to do. Whether that's planning a night, we just had a night that Mr. DiStefano organized. Hey, students new to East, that they, hopefully make them feel better. We're doing, all types of nights, whether it's in the senior college night for applications, because again, everything affects mental health. Whether it's a college night for juniors, we have a sophomore night planned, first time ever. Just to find out, hey, what's as a rising junior, what should I do during that summer? All these things that we're doing are designed to help students, number one, feel better about themselves, hopefully quiet some of that anxiety in their minds. If it doesn't, we can always create one, but the most important thing is being able for the students to know and families to know that we are here to help them. And I just, like, Mrs. Stefano said, hey, Mrs. D, we need to do this. Okay, how can I help? When a counselor hears something, right away, Mrs. Stefano's phone's ringing, or if we're live in person, walking the kid down there to make sure everything is good. So this holiday, now Mrs. Joseph is going out to homes as well. So whenever we hear something, we look into it, because we have to make sure, we want to make sure our students are safe. We love our students, and we have a tremendous support system here in guidance. And it also helps that I used to be a guidance counselor here, so I know everybody. There's a big level of trust here. And Mrs. Stefano, like I said, it's just knowing all those outside sources and resources, and who to speak with. We all know people who went through it, and it's just whatever we can do to help kids stay safe and feel good about themselves. Okay, hope I answered the question.
Yeah, thank you. And especially during these crazy times, how do you think COVID has impacted students' mental health?
So we're seeing a lot of different pieces to it. So the social isolation is probably the biggest piece that we see, is because even though students may feel like they have their own group of friends or whatever, being with everybody always seems like you're part of something. And so when you're home and you're in your room and you're just like a little box on your classroom, some don't feel part of it. So a lot of students are not really participating, quote unquote, because they just don't feel like they they feel a little bit isolated because of the screen. So I know that teachers are really working hard to try to keep the kids engaged and trying to be positive and do a lot of social emotional type learning lessons, and to get people to feel at least a little bit included. And then there are a few that are doing pretty well. The big high school experience was not for those types of students. So they're actually thriving on the online teaching and learning. So, we're getting a gamut of everything. I think our biggest piece is really just the students, especially the ones that are new to the district, and also that are ninth graders coming in, that some of them have never seen the building before, or, not actually been in person here. They feel more disconnected. So, when the guidance counselors and I talk to the students, because some parents have reached out and we've had meetings with them via, virtual meetings, trying to hook them up with some type of after school, club or program that they can get involved in. And that has helped. Because some of the clubs are still running, even though they may be virtual. And they might not be as long, they might only be maybe once a month or maybe quarterly, but at least they feel like they can belong to something. So we're really doing, trying to just get kids connected, because really it's the disconnect and the social isolation that we're really seeing. That's tough on their mental health.
Yeah, and from my side, I'm also the grade level principal for our seniors. And Mr. Stefano alluded to it. Every single time I observe a teacher or have watched the counselor do a scheduling session with students, it's always about how are you. The first question is, how are you guys doing today? What's happening? But really talking about the social emotional learning, because yeah, the content is important. But the most important thing is making sure you guys are okay out there. And as we're finding, and like Mrs. Stefano said, kids are all over the place. Some people are just loving staying home. They love the new schedule. They love the times. And others are missing their friends so much they can't wait to come in. So many of my meetings with seniors, again, whether they're doing well or need to improve academically, I'm trying to get them to come back into the building. And I know it's not for everybody. I know people have their own reasons for COVID or whatever, staying away. But we want the students in the building. The schools are built to have students in there. Without you guys and all of you guys, it's just not the same. Guidance is usually one of the hubs of the school. There's no kids here. And again, we would make sure we're all socially distanced precautions, but you're doing a great job. The one thing that I would love to improve is counselors are reaching out a lot, teachers are reaching out a lot, and not all the students are checking their emails. That is the number one thing, and like I said, I'm not trying to dime anybody out here, but that reaching out, because sometimes I know counselors just having sometimes, hey, let's just have like a lunch bunch. Let's just forget academics for a second. How are you? And sometimes we get responses, and sometimes we don't. Teachers are doing the same thing. There's, we offer extra help for teachers every single morning. We want you guys here. We want you guys taking advantage of all of that. We understand why you don't. For example, for the seniors, on the 21st of every month, there's opportunities to just get together. We had a trick or treat April 21st, happens to be my birthday. We're having a movie night. Less than half of the class is coming. We're not taking shots at anybody who's not coming, but we are trying to do things, and we would love for everybody to come back. So again, there's a lot of things. COVID is really, the biggest thing is you're not here, and we're not able to be in the building all together, because then kid comes down to the second to talk to the counselor or to Mrs. Stefano. Now, sometimes that might be more challenging. And Google Meet and Zoom and Teams, it's just not as personal. Okay, right now I was called the Hollywood Squares. So
yeah, I just feel like COVID, we have all learned to kind of navigate through it as best we possibly can, and I feel like the students are, from what we know and from the ones that I've spoken to, are doing the best they can too, and within their family and what their family values are, and we're trying to help that too. But if we don't know, we can't help. So that's what I said. Like, don't let it get to a point where things are spinning out of control, or you're failing things, and reach out, because we're all here. Like, we're all here with kind of like we're here to help. And if we don't know, we can't help, right?
Yeah, so I definitely understand that, and just bringing it back to the mental health screening, how do you think that has come into play?
Well, we will see how it goes. So in the past, we've been doing screenings for probably close to 11 years. So with some times that we had to find a new screening, and so we had some years that we didn't run it. But the past years we have ran it. Just last spring we weren't able to because of COVID. So we are happy that we're going to be able to run it this spring in May. It's challenging in that the amount of students that we could screen at a time will be less. So the amount of days that we are running the screening is going to increase. The scheduling of the students will also play a challenging role because of AP testing that is going on. And then also remote students. We're offering remote students a time in the morning to come in before the other students come into the building. So it'll be interesting to see the reply. In the past, the average is probably close to maybe 15% of our population that takes the screening, which is very low. I know you're going to say that. But I'll be curious to see. Actually, I didn't get a chance to go on today to see how many have signed up already. Because it's a new electronic form now too, because we used to paper it out through snail mail, but because the post office we can't really rely on that right now. We don't know how that goes. That's going to be up to parents checking their emails, going on to the parent portal to fill out the permission slip, and then we send it out to students too to kind of like, have the conversation with their parents. If they want to take the screen, then let's sign up together. Right. So I'm hoping for the best. I mean, we're prepared for as many as we need to screen. We will. We have the clinicians all the way through this first full week of June. So that's 6 weeks we'll have, and that includes West also that we will be including. So, I guess it's just a wait and see game right now to see how this is going to work. I'm hoping. I have positive hopes.
Yeah.
We feel that like a mental health checkup is just like you get your physical, right? Like we were hoping that that's how most people looked at it. And some parents I know their students were seniors last year and they have taken it every year. Right, the parents have signed their kids up every year, and so I used to be able to see the students that I just thought, their mom signed me up again, and that's great because you just want to get, they just want to get engaged, and the students too, as they got older, felt that it was appropriate for them to take it, they want to check on themselves. So last year as seniors, they didn't get to take it, so some of them weren't not happy about it, and there was nothing we could do about it. But I know a lot of the pediatrician offices are now giving depression screens, and they're trying to utilize more of the medical field to do those screenings also when students come in for their physicals.
Yeah, and I'm going to give a plug to the screenings because I had my kids go through Cherry Hill High School East. I was a counselor at the time, and it's just refreshing to know as a parent because adolescent kids don't always tell their parents everything, okay? And sometimes they don't tell their friends anything. We don't know what's in people's heads. So if the screening is a wonderful way, just like this is definitely says, like a checkup, like getting a physical. Because if there's anything out there that needs to be explored, as a parent, I would want to know about it. Okay, so that's why I had my kids every single year, take the mental health screening again, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to make sure that I knew my kids were okay, because they don't always talk to us as parents, and we want to make sure that if someone is out there suffering or doubting themselves, and they're not telling anybody about it. When it's small, it's really easily, a lot of times it's minor things that just a conversation can fix. But if that's been happening for 5-6 years or a long time, or just one of those years where everything just snowballing, we want to catch things when they're small, because they're easy to then either fix or talk through or have easier strategies to be able to get the student or adult just functioning and being happy and confident in themselves. Because yes, these are tough times and it affects everybody differently, and that's the things we don't know. We're not, we don't have everybody here. Sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't, because it's the ones that are suffering in silence, and something like this will hopefully,
Bring it to light. Yeah, they'll bring it to light, and then hopefully.
Absolutely. So that again, that's, I'm here, and I had both of my kids every single year. They were signed up.